Welcome viewers. Today in this session we will be talking about specialized transduction. We will be talking about what is specialized transduction, how the specialized transduction is carried out in case of bacteria, what are the benefits which a specialized transducing phage gives to bacteria, and how or what are the applications of specialized transduction. Before we move into all of this, first the basic term, that is the transduction, should be understood very well. So what is transduction? Transduction is a mechanism or a mean of horizontal gene transfer occurring in bacteria with the help of a bacteriophage. Then again the next question comes in, what is bacteriophage? The virus which attacks bacteria is known as bacteriophage or eaters of bacteria. The viruses on attacking or after attacking a bacterial cell may undergo two kinds of life cycles within the cell. One is the lytic cycle and the other one is the lysogenic cycle. The viruses which carry out the lytic cycle within the bacterial cell is known as virulent phages, whereas the phages which carry out the lysogenic pathway within the bacterial cell are known as the temperate phages. So, as we can see in this diagram, there the two cycles have been shown, the lytic cycle and the lysogenic cycle. The specialized transducing phage generally carry out the lysogenic pathway after they gain entry into a bacterial cell. Now let's move to the importance of specialized transduction. The specialized transduction helps, or rather it helps us to understand the concepts of viruses and how the viruses can convert a normal cell into a cancerous cell. How this is established? This is established with the help of the lysogenic mechanism. So, as we know now, the specialized transducing phage carry out the lysogenic pathway within the bacterial cell. It is with the help of lysogeny, the normal animal viruses which attack the human beings can carry out lysogenic and can turn the normal cell into the cancerous cell. In the next portion or the next importance is what? It's help us to understand how the bacteria gain pathogenesis. We know that most of the important diseases like cholera, typhoid, diphtheria are carried out or they happen because of the pathogenesis of certain important bacteria. Now what are the kinds of bacteria? Like your Vibrio cholera cause cholerae. But not all strains of Vibrio cholera are able to cause cholera disease. Why? Because it's only established with the pathogenic strain. So how the pathogenic strain gains pathogenicity is again with the help of lysogeny mechanism. The next is what? The next is the defective prophages. The defective prophages sometimes they lose their identity and they merges with the bacterial chromosome, and as a result there is an evolution in bacteria due to the gaining of viral genes into them or in them. So we just now saw that specialized transducing phage, they undergo lysogenic pathway. So what is lysogeny? Normally what happens when a virus attacks a bacterial cell, it injects its DNA into the bacterial cell. Now after the DNA gains entry within the bacterial cell, there are two pathways it might follow. It might undergo the lytic pathway or the lysogeny. In the lysogenic state, the viral DNA becomes integrated into the bacterial chromosomal DNA in the form of prophage. So, the bacteria is said to be lysogen for that particular bacteriophage and the phage is said to lysogenize the bacterial cell. So, what is lysogeny? The integration of viral DNA into the bacterial chromosomal DNA. Now, what is the importance of lysogeny? The importance of lysogeny lies in the fact that there are certain pathogenic bacteria which creates endemic diseases in human beings are known to be caused due to the lysogeny. For example, cholera. The cholera toxin is there. The cholera toxin is gained within the Vibrio cholera after an infection from an bacteriophage. Similarly, we have the other importance of lysogeny as well. The first importance is there are viruses which attack the animal cell. Now, after attacking the animal cell, some of the viruses, they integrate their DNA into the chromosomal DNA. And as a result, the normal cell becomes transformed into a cancerous cell. The third importance of lysogeny is that there are certain defective prophages which are not able to produce proper progeny virions, and as a result they become merged with the bacterial chromosomal gene, and which in turn helps in the evolution of bacteria and creating species diversity. So we now saw what is the importance of lysogeny and what is lysogen. In the next slide, important feature is the phage lambda. So now we are going to discuss about the mechanism or how the process of specialized transduction is carried on. Specialized transduction was reported earlier in 1920s. But the whole process of how specialized transduction is being carried on was discovered and studied in 1950. It was with the help of the work conducted by Joshua and Esther Lederberg that the fully specialized transduction was understood very well. The bacteriophage lambda was used as the model system and prototype for understanding the specialized transduction. So now we can see, as shown in this diagram, the phage lambda structure. So as we can see, it contains a head, a collar, then followed by a tail and a base plate. So this is one of the most famous and most well studied bacteriophage which is capable of carrying out specialized transduction in Escherichia coli. So let us first go for the specialized or the process of specialized transduction. The specialized transduction means, as I told you, transduction is the horizontal gene transfer occurring in bacteria. In case of specialized transduction, only particular genes which are located near to the prophage or to the site of phage genome integration in the bacterial chromosome are always carried from one bacteria to another. Or in other words, generalized transduction, any part of the bacterial genome can be carried from one bacterial cell to another. But in case of specialized transduction, only a particular segment of bacterial chromosomal DNA is always carried. So it's very specific for the transducing phage, which fragment will it carry with itself.
Ma'am, how does the phage DNA integrates itself into the bacterial chromosome?
The phage DNA is capable of integrating randomly into the bacterial chromosome, but in case of E. coli, it always integrates at a particular site. The site is known as the attachment site, abbreviated as ATT. Now what happens is, as we can see in this diagram, there are two homologous regions, one present on the phage DNA and the other present on the bacterial chromosomal DNA. As a result of homology between the two sequences, so there is a possibility of a crossing over. Since the crossing over is occurring at a specific site, hence the viral DNA is only capable of integrating into the E. coli DNA or the E. coli genome at a particular site, and hence which contributes to the formation of the prophage state. In case of other viruses which are able to carry out lysogeny or specialized transduction, they are capable of inserting randomly. But in case of E. coli, it is always occurring at the sites. Now let us move to the mechanism. So the first mechanism of specialized transduction is the formation of a prophage state. The prophage state is carried out by the incorporation, or it is formed by the incorporation of the viral DNA into the bacterial chromosomal DNA at a specific site, which in this case is the site. Hence, the prophage is formed. Now the prophage, under certain circumstances or adverse conditions, are able to get excised out from the bacterial chromosomal DNA. When it is following the excision procedure, it might again follow the single crossing over at the normal sites, and then it will get or become excised out from the bacterial chromosomal DNA. As a result, the phage chromosome will give rise to normal lambda bacteriophages. But suppose if the excision takes place at the improper position, then what will happen? If the excision takes place at the improper position or a crossing over is taking place at the imperfect sequences, then what will happen? Then a part of the viral genome will contain a part of the bacterial chromosome, and the rest of the viral DNA will remain incorporated within the bacterial chromosome. So, there is a loss of a part of the viral sequences in the lambda phage genome. As a result, it will create defective prophage. The defective prophage will create defective progeny phages, and the phages here is abbreviated as lambda D gal plus. Why lambda? Because it stands for the bacteriophage lambda. The small d stands because it is defective prophage. So carrying out means the defective prophage giving rise to defective phages, and why gal plus? Because the gal plus gene is present on the viral chromosome or the viral DNA, which is being excised out from the bacterial chromosomal DNA. So there are two chances. After the prophage, it gets excised out. It might undergo normal outlooping or rare abnormal outlooping. Now the presence of the abnormal phages in the phage lysate is very low. Maybe 1 per 10 to the power 5 progeny phages produced. Hence the phage lysate is known as initial low frequency transducing lysate. Why? Because the rate of transduction will be low, because the number of abnormal phages is low. Now what will happen if this abnormal phage infects another bacterial cell? So what will happen when it infects another bacterial cell? Say suppose two kind of phages attacks a normal cell. One is the wild type progeny phage, another is the defective virus which is containing the galactose gene in itself. Suppose both of them attacks a normal bacterial cell. Then it will lead to the production of a dilysogeny or a double lysogeny state. So we saw till now how the low frequency transducing lysate is produced. Now we will see what happens when this low frequency transducing lysate attacks a gal positive bacterial cell or a gal phenotype bacterial cell. Now what is a gal? Gal stands for the gene galactose. Those bacterial cells which are containing the gal positive gene will be able to grow on a medium containing galactose. So let's see what happens. The first stage is the formation of the dilysogeny or the double lysogeny. So what is this dilysogeny? Now what happens is when the abnormal phages as well as the normal phages attacks a single bacterial cell, then the wild type lambda sequence will get integrated within the bacterial chromosomal DNA at sequences, at its own sequence. Now what will happen to the abnormal bacteriophage? The abnormal bacteriophage or the defective bacteriophage will again become incorporated at the same site besides the wild type lambda sequences. So this is a state which is double lysogen or dilysogen. Why? Because there are presence of two lysogenic states within the same bacterial cell.
Ma'am, in what way does a dilysogen help the bacteria?
Well, the dilysogen or after the formation of dilysogen, what happens is the bacteria undergoes or the bacteriophage takes up the lytic cycle. As a result, progeny phages are formed. Now what happens is the prophage can be maintained within the bacterial cell for a long period of time. But when there is another viral sequence present, then it produces a lytic state within the bacterial cell. So in this way, what will happen? Now the defective prophage does not carry the whole of viral sequences. Then how will it go for the production of progeny virions or viruses? It will take the help of the wild type lambda sequence present adjacent to it. So the wild type lambda sequence in this case acts like a helper phage, and it controls the outlooping of itself as well as the adjacent defective prophage. So it is able to carry out the production of normal virions as well as the virions which are carrying a part of the bacterial chromosome. So in this diagram, as we can see, that there are two lambda sequences. One is the wild type lambda sequence and the lambda D-gal. Why D-gal? Because it is carrying the gal positive gene of the donor bacterial chromosome. So this is the dilysogen. This is one lysogenic state, so another. So this is thus the dilysogeny state. Now always in case of the lambda bacteriophage, it incorporates its DNA within the biotin and galactose region of the E. coli chromosome. Now let's see then what happens. Now suppose we have the dilysogeny state. As a result, the state is highly unstable and the bacteria will, or rather the bacteriophage will go for the lytic cycle. So in the lytic cycle, or when the progeny viruses are being produced, so it will have an equal ratio of the wild type virus as well as the defective viruses. Why defective? Because it is not containing the whole of viral sequences, but a part of viral sequences as well as a part of the gene carried from the donor bacterial chromosome. And hence the lysate which is produced from such a cell is high frequency transducing lysate, as it is carrying both the normal phages as well as the abnormal phages. So what will happen then? So then suppose the normal phages, or rather, so this is one case. So we can see that the low frequency transducing lysate can attack a normal galactose cell. Now this normal galactose cell, after the attack of a low frequency transducing lysate, give rises to an unstable condition, that is the dilysogeny state, which is again forming high frequency transducing lysate. Now what happens when a defective prophage attacks a bacterial cell which is containing galactose in its genotype? So then there can be again only a single chance that the galactose which is carried on the defective virus recombines with the galactose present on the your recipient host cell chromosome, and as a result of double crossing over, the galactose here was recessive. So after the crossing over, here the galactose gene become positive. So the bacteria now becomes positive for the galactose phenotype, and the changed phenotype is gal plus. So from gal minus, the recipient bacterial cell is becoming gal positive. So the transductant, who is the transductant here? The recipient bacterial cell. So it is carrying out, or it is the result of a stable transductant. Why it is stable? Because here if we look at the genotypic composition of the recipient bacterial cell, it is only containing the gal positive and biotin and no part of the viral DNA. So hence it is more stable in nature as compared to the other cases. Now let us move to the different applications of specialized transduction. The first application is specialized transduction, or the specialized transducing phages are used as vectors in recombinant DNA technology. So it is capable of cloning large amounts of cloned or large amounts of DNA. And this is the first application. The second application, it can be used for the complementation studies in bacteria. The third application is if you want to know the precise location of a gene on the bacterial chromosomal DNA, it can be done with the help of a specialized transducing phage. Now let us move to the most important application of specialized transduction, that is the point of bacterial pathogenesis. So what is bacterial pathogenesis? The disease caused by bacteria. Now what are the diseases? The most common and deadly diseases are cholera, tetanus, diphtheria, scarlet fever, etc. The process by which a prophage converts a non-pathogenic bacterium to a pathogenic bacteria is known as lysogenic conversion.
Ma'am, how does lysogeny contribute towards the virulence of bacteria?
The lysogeny is an important feature of specialized transducing phage. It contributes very much to the bacterial pathogenesis. How? Like she asked. So, the prophage generally contains the virulence gene. The prophage now when enters a non-pathogenic bacteria, the pathogenic bacteria gains this virulence gene and gets transformed into a pathogenic strain. So, this is known as the lysogenic conversion. And generally the virulence gene are carried on pathogenicity islands. And these pathogenicity islands are capable of transforming the bacteria. Let us understand all this process or how lysogeny contributes to bacterial pathogenesis with the help of two case studies. One is the diphtheria, another is the cholera. So let us see how it contributes. Let's take up first diphtheria. So the diphtheria is caused by the bacterium, that is the Corynebacterium diphtheriae. Corynebacterium diphtheriae, not all Corynebacterium diphtheria are capable of causing an infection. The pathogenic strains are only capable of causing diphtheria. How is it caused? Now there is a bacteriophage called tox or the phage beta or a closely related species of phage beta which is capable of using Corynebacterium as its host strain. Now when it uses Corynebacterium diphtheriae as its host strain, so it becomes integrated into the bacterial chromosomal DNA in the form of a prophage. Now this prophage contains the diphtheria toxin. As a result, the Corynebacterium genome now gains that toxin, the diphtheria toxin. The diphtheria toxin, on being secreted from the Corynebacterium cell or being secreted from the transformed Corynebacterium cell, is now able to colonize on the epithelial cell of human tissues, and as a result, it is able to cause the disease diphtheria. Right? So in this way we can see how the gene which was once present on the tox phage becomes integrated into the Corynebacterium, and the Corynebacterium, after the acquisition of the toxin, it's now able to cause the disease. The next example is that of cholera. The cholera is able to, we know it's caused one of the famous, or we know the disease which is cholera, the hallmark of which is the diarrhea. The diarrhea is because the cholera bacterium, it colonizes the intestinal epithelium. Now what happens? The toxin, which is a AB toxin, cholera toxin is an AB5 toxin. Now this AB5 toxin is present on a bacteriophage and it was not initially present on the bacterial chromosome. The bacteria, that is a Vibrio cholerae, which causes cholera, is first infected by a bacteriophage which is CTX5. The CTX5, after getting incorporated in the form of prophage within the bacterial chromosomal DNA, now gives away the AB5 unit to the bacteria. The AB5 unit is a toxin and which the bacteria gains after the formation of prophage is now able to cause the cholera disease. So in this way we can see how the subunit, again the toxin here, is able to cause the disease. The toxin was first present on CTX5. This CTX5, after getting incorporated into the Vibrio cholerae genome, now leaves the gene over there and hence the Vibrio cholera becomes toxic in nature. But again, not all strains of Vibrio cholera are being able to gain this toxin. And hence there is a region or there is a difference between a non-pathogenic strain and a pathogenic strain. Only those which are attacked by CTX5 becomes transformed into pathogenic. The rest remains non-pathogenic in nature. So these are the two case studies where we saw how lysogeny contributes to the bacterial pathogenesis.